Hey guys, Megan Fox here. I write with pjmedia.com and I'm here with a new movie review. Now this is how much I like you. I watched Alyssa Milano for you in Brazen on Netflix so that you don't have to sit through this. Oh my God. I find, and this is just my opinion, oh, but I find Alyssa Milano to be one of the most annoying twits in Hollywood that there is because she injects her personal opinions about politics into everything. And I'm of the opinion that if you're going to be a movie star, you should respect all of your audience, not just half of it, because there's lots of people out there who might disagree with you in your political views but would still pay to see you on screen. Now, I am the kind of person that once you tell me your political views and they annoy me, I don't really want to pay for you to see you on screen anymore. Like if you've made it perfectly clear that you don't want me in your audience, I'm perfectly fine with that. Alyssa Milano is one of those people. And so I would not normally pay to see anything she's in, but I saw that it was trending on Twitter the other day, and I couldn't believe that she's back on the big screen. And I thought, well, I have a Netflix subscription. I can just watch her on Netflix. It won't actually be any big deal, so I'll do that. And oh my God, it's so bad. It's so bad. Let's get going though, because this is gonna take me forever. It's based on a book by Nora Roberts, who I had high hopes for because I don't know, years ago I used to read a lot of Nora Roberts books and I liked her books. Her books were good. Um, I do not remember them being this terrible though. Like this movie is terrible. All right. So we start out, and there's this woman in front of a camera, like a webcam, and she's doing like dominatrix stuff. And then she's sitting at her table and she takes her wig off, and you can see that it's a blonde woman. So already it's like this, skanky webcam storyline, which is very much like what you would picture in like a Lifetime movie. Like I'm surprised this didn't premiere on Lifetime. It's got a real Lifetime vibe to the whole thing. So anyway, this woman, we still don't know who she is. She's got a lock on this secret room of hers with the dominatrix stuff. And then we get the title. It's Brazen. And then we move straight to where Grace, who is played by Alyssa Milano, is reading her new mystery novel to a bunch of sycophantic people in who are standing around holding copies of her book, looking at her like she's an angel descended from heaven. And she's reading her book, and then the store owner comes over and is like gushing over, "Oh, Grace, this is just the best thing you've ever written, and you're just famous now." So I guess we're supposed to believe that she's a famous author, and she writes murder mystery books. She gets a call on her way out of this thing from her sister. Her sister says she's got an emergency, she needs to come see her. So she's off to see the sister. And then we see that her sister is the blonde we just saw doing the dominatrix thing. And the sister, it's really weird. She gets there and she's like, "So what's that?" She like has to get on a plane and fly to her. And then she gets there and Grace is like, "Hey, Kathleen, what did you need?" And Kathleen's like, "Oh, I didn't know you were going to come so soon." She's like, "We said it was an emergency. Why am I here?" Kathleen never answers that question. It's bizarre. She just starts talking about how she wants, oops, I didn't mean to do that. How she wants to get custody of her son now, and she's cleaned up her life, and she's not on pills anymore, and she's got a bad ex-husband who I'm sure at this point when I was watching it, I was sure he was gonna be a Republican because they said he was doing some political fundraiser, and I was like, "Oh, there's your evil Republican. It's gonna be Jonathan. It's gonna be that guy." I'll tell you if my my predictions came true. Mm. So she wants custody of her son. She's cleaned up her life. She's not an addict anymore. She's a teacher at a fancy ritzy DC academy, Catholic academy. And Grace doesn't know she's a teacher, which I find highly weird. Like, she's your sister. You don't know that she's a teacher? She has to tell you that? It's just an odd dynamic. Anyway, then we cut to the hero cop scenario. We've got, hot cop here on the right, happens to be in a gas station when there's a robbery. He's just in there getting coffee, but, armed robberies happen all the time, just in time for the hero cop to save the day, and which, of course, he does. It's all, like, no big deal. Taking down bad guys all the time. So then we go back to the sisters. They're in their house discussing her problems. We don't really get there's like a whole bunch of exposition here about this one telling the other one that her ex-husband is terrible, a terrible guy. None of it ever goes anywhere. You don't need to know any of this. You could just skip past this entire conversation because it literally has nothing to do with anything. No, nothing. Oh, except wait, I wrote something here. Oh, yeah, I knew it. I knew I was forgetting something. So right before this, they get into a fight, the sisters, because the one sister is asking her, Kathleen's asking Grace for some help. She wants her to sign off on a second mortgage on the house. And I guess they own the home together. It's the family home. And Grace won't do it for some reason. Like she's this big fancy rich author and she won't sign this thing for her sister to pay for a lawyer to get custody of your nephew. Like what's wrong with you? It's such a weird plot line. Anyway, so Alyssa, and this is why I think Nora Roberts didn't have anything to do with the script maybe. I don't remember Nora Roberts writing things like this, and if she had, I would have turned it off because or put the book down because here comes the big woke moment. I was expecting more of these, but we only got one, so that's good, I guess. Her sister Kathleen says to Grace, You're making tons of money writing about murdering women and the exploitation of women." And the character of Grace, played by Alyssa Milano, gets up on her high horse to educate the audience, and she says this. I wrote it down so I would get it verbatim. "If you had read any of my books, you would know they're about the exploitation of women and misogyny and the patriarchy and how we do very little to protect the vulnerable." The patriarchy. Like, we're not even, like, 5 minutes into this, and already Alyssa Milano got to say the patriarchy. I mean, I'm sure that she made them write that in. Nora Roberts did not write that line. I highly, highly doubt it. From what I rem when I was reading Nora Roberts, I would have put the book down. I would have thrown it across the room if she had written shit like that. Oh, and by the way, so this was interesting. See that bed they're in? Mm. My sister had that exact same bed when we were growing up. And I laid in there with her like that plenty of times. I thought that was kind of funny as I was going through this. So then we see this creepy dude with this watch that they keep focusing on. So you know this watch is going to be a plot line in this movie. Um, and he's like, he's doing something with the computers and the hackery. I don't know, but they keep switching to him. Don't ask me. I don't know. So the next day, Grace is trying to write, and there's a bunch of sounds coming like a saw from the window. So she looks out, and it's Hot Cop. He's the neighbor. Isn't that convenient? They have a hot cop for a neighbor. So she's doing some witty banter with him, pretending that the thing is bothering her. Really, she just wants to get down there and get to know him. So she does. She creeps into his backyard. Oh, I guess I didn't get screenshots of that. She creeps into his backyard while he's working with a saw, by the way, which, ladies, it's never a good idea to sneak up on a guy when he's using a saw. My husband was using a saw like that, and he cut off the tip of his finger. It was terrifying. There was blood everywhere. I was like searching for the finger in the grass. Don't ever sneak up on a guy with a saw. I didn't sneak up on him. It was just a freak accident, but still. Very dangerous thing, saws. Do not do not just be very, very careful around those kinds of saws. Actually, a neighbor of ours almost cut his arm off with one of those. He went through his arm almost all the way. They had to reattach his arm. Like, these things are dangerous as hell. In fact, I can't believe you have to have a license for a gun, but not for one of these things. These things are terrifying. Ask anybody who has one, and they'll have the same kind of story. Anyway, um, more on saw safety? No, we can skip past that. So anyway, she goes down there, she's standing in his, yard with coffee, she starts, talking to him about, uh, I don't know, she's flirting. Anyway, he somehow recognizes her name, he runs inside, and he grabs one of her books, and he brings it back outside as if we are to believe that a hardened, hardscrabble cop is reading a mystery murder novel about patriarchy and the exploitation of women and misogyny by this person. That's how famous she is. That even male cops who have no interest in feminist tropes are reading these novels. Hmm, who writes this stuff? I swear. All right, then we get to see Kathleen, the sister, in her school. She works in this school that is very much like Hogwarts. It's huge, giant, looks like a stone building. It's obviously a Catholic church, not church, Catholic school. You can see the crucifix over the top of the wall. I immediately began to think that this was my first sign that this was going to be some kind of anti-Catholic. It's definitely going to be the murderer is definitely in this room or in the school, is what I think. That's what I've started to think. Then we get Kathleen on the FaceTime with her son, which is really kind of funny and sad. It's sad because I know a lot of these women who are being kept away from their children, and that's very sad. And that's what this man is doing to his family, keeping her away from this little boy. But what was funny about it was that the FaceTime, like instead of him being like in his room or something, he's literally standing out on the lawn, and behind him is this gigantic house so that we understand that this man is very wealthy. I mean, he's standing literally like in the driveway on the FaceTime. And then, of course, the dad walks up and he says, yeah, he's got to go. He can't talk to you. And after they've been on for like 2 seconds, and, so you can see they have a bad relationship and they want you desperately to think that this guy's going to kill her. So we go to Kathleen again. She's in her red room. I don't know what you want to call it with the dominatrix stuff. And she has a gun that she hides inside the room. I don't know why she has a gun, but she has a gun. It's loaded. It's in the room. Meanwhile, Miss Sassy Pants, Alyssa Milano, Grace, she's got herself a date with the hot cop, and they're doing their witty repartee over wine. It's kind of boring. And meanwhile, Desiree, who is Kathleen, that's her name, her dominatrix name, is doing her dominatrix shtick on the webcam. Uh, so while you see that while this is happening with her, someone's breaking into the house. Obviously, Grace is out, and so is the cop. They're not home. Breaks in, kills her. Uh, Grace comes home and finds her dead, and then she is screaming bloody murder. And of course, the neighbor is right next door, who's the cop, who she just left. So he goes back over there and he checks the body, definitely dead. She does this screaming thing, which is kind of amusing. I mean, she was trying very hard to portray upset, and I think it kind of worked. I don't know. This movie is too much like a Lifetime thing. So the cops find the red room. Grace has no idea it's there. She doesn't know anything about this. Cops find red room. They're rummaging around. This is the hot cop's partner, the one with the gray hair. Um, I mean, I guess he's kind of funny. They try to make him the comedic relief, but really it's just like every Lifetime movie you've ever seen that tries to make you laugh. It doesn't work. Drink. So these two, oh, I forgot that part. So while they're in, so he comes, hot cop whose name is Ed, tells his partner, "Hey, you gotta do me a favor. We gotta figure out how to get on this case because my neighbor's sister, who I'm, wanting to bang, is, um, is the victim here, and I want to be on this case." And the other cop is like, "Well, that's kind of a big favor. I'm not sure if we should do that." No, no, you shouldn't do that. I mean, this guy could be a witness. The cop might have been a witness to something. The victim's sister might have been a witness. You can't be involved in this case. But yet again, it's like a Lifetime movie, and so they can do whatever they want. Um, let's see. I gotta notes. Take the opportunity to drink. Do you have a drink? If you don't have a drink, go get one. Mm, um, Ooh, I just blew past. Okay, this is my first plot hole point. Cops cannot take cases for friends. This is so stupid. Like, if you're a friend of a cop, he can't be your detective on your sister's murder case, okay? So, but of course that happens. And then they tell the Grace, "Hey, we'll get you a hotel, and if you don't want to stay alone, we'll send someone to stay with you." And of course she's like, "No, let me stay with you, Ed." And of course, right in front of all the other cops. And he's like, "Okay," because that's normal. So she's staying in his house. Plot hole number two. The press is gathered around outside his house or her house, the sister's house. I don't know, somebody's house. Gathered around like rabid dogs. Like it's as if, OJ Simpson is happening all over again. Like Nicole Simpson was just found nearly decapitated. That's the level that these people are, you know, "I tell us what happened. Tell us what happened." And you're like, "Wait a minute. This is just some school teacher who was found dead. We're not even sure if the cause of death has been determined. Nobody's even said the word murder yet. Why are all these people here? It's Washington D.C. You are not going to have Washington D.C. reporters lined up, freaked out, about some school teacher who gets found dead. No, that's not happening. So, but it does happen because apparently Grace is so famous that wherever she goes, there are mobs of reporters who want to talk to her. All right, what's next? Oh, and by the way, that's the last time you'll ever see the reporters. They never come back. They were just swarming that one time, just a swarm of reporters, just that one time, and she wants to go into the crime scene, which, by the way, he lets her go into the crime scene. She even has a line where she's like, "Don't worry, I won't contaminate the crime scene." Is that how this works? They're wearing gloves though, so it's fine. It's fine to let the victim's sister into the crime scene just minutes after it's happened. Sure, whatever. Hours after it's happened. Stupid. So stupid. We find out during this scene that the body was positioned as if she were crucified on a cross. Again, alarm bells going off in my head. I'm like, I'm gonna get some anti-Catholic bigotry in here. I'm sure. I'm sure that that's coming. Um, but let's see, what's next? Uh, all right. Oh yeah. Okay. So then, oh, I forgot how stupid this was. So they go to he tells Grace that her sister was a dominatrix. So they go to the company that runs these webcams. Now, you probably are wondering, wait a minute, these places have offices? I had no idea. No, I'm sure they do not have offices unless you're talking about some major company, and I doubt that this was one. Anyway, it's like a small family business. Look at this place. It's called Fantasy Inc. And it's in this giant office space, like a big building. And this woman is telling them, "Oh, we take the safety of the people who work for us so seriously." And they're just all on the up and up. They're totally legit, right? And this is what you're supposed to believe. Um, Not that it's like three people in a basement somewhere, because no, they would pay rent for like a really big office space to run webcams from people's homes, right? They would need the office space for what? Are they having meetings in a conference room? What are they paying the rent for on a big square footage office space? Look at the look at the screens behind her. There's like a gimp over here in the corner, on a leash chain, and like this is just it's so bad. It's so bad. I don't remember what they find out there. It really doesn't matter. Like this movie is awful. I can't believe I sat through it. Okay. Grace goes to the school to pick up her sister's things. Students come and say how sorry they are. I'm certain one of them did it. Then she walks up to this kid outside for no reason whatsoever. He wasn't in the group of kids who comes to say he's sorry. And he gives his name. It's like Blake something. Wait, what's his name? I wrote it down and now I'm going to forget. Um, but she walks up to this kid who has absolutely nothing to do with Baxter. I think his last name is Baxter. For no reason. She walks up to him and she's like, "Hey." And he's like, "Hey." And she's like, "Well, I hear you were one of my sister's students." And I mean, I don't know where she heard that. We didn't see anyone tell her that. She's just walking up to a random kid telling him that she I don't know. This is so dumb. It's so bad. So anyway, you should now know, and I knew looking at this, oh, this kid's he probably did it. He's the one, because there was no reason for him to even be there. He sends her on a red herring chase uh with the maintenance man, something about the maintenance man, blah blah blah. There's the maintenance guy. She questions him. It really goes nowhere. There's no reason for any of this. They end up questioning someone who knows something about something or other. And of course, it's the IT kid who works for Fantasy Inc. and he lives in his mother's basement. And he's been giving out access to the webcams to his cousin, who's the guy at the school, of course. Of course, he lives in his mother's basement. I just thought that was funny. It's just a funny thing. Like, they had to go down to the basement to talk to him, and there's his mom, and, like, he's got headphones around his neck. This guy is nobody. He'd never this story will go nowhere again. This has nothing to do with anything. Oh god. So now they're getting into their love story. There's a love story between these 2, and I really don't freaking care. Um, Whatever. Then we go to this guy who's using the fantasy.inc service, and there's a new girl, and she gets murdered on video. So, dun dun dun, there's a serial killer, and he's going after dominatrixes. I don't know. Look at the office of the DC cops. Do you think they have such a nice office? I'm looking at that going, "Hmm, that looks like a CIA building somewhere. That does not look like a DC police office, but I could be wrong." What do I know? All right. So that's the ex-husband you're supposed to think did it. He didn't. That's the captain. And now the captain is being asked by what's her name if she can. Oh no, at that point she was just telling the hot cop that he needs to stop screwing around with the victim's sister. So we get through an emotional, I don't know, service, and she's crying, and nothing really happens here. All we know is that this is the weird kid she was talking to, and sitting next to him is his mother, who happens to be a senator from Missouri. And so I was sure then when I heard that, I'm like, oh, that's the evil Republican. It's got to be the evil Republican. It's coming, right? Any minute now. Evil Republican coming. Weird kid again, standing over the coffin. Weird. Mother comes in, the senator. She says, "My kid has no boundaries. Sorry," drags him off. Back of Alyssa Milano's head. I don't know why we're looking at that. She gets a card from someone. It says, "Desiree, now you are where you belong." This is it's a clue that leads nowhere. We have no clue. It doesn't really mean anything. Shh. Okay, third woman. Her name is Bethany. She is the third target. Guy comes after her, but she's standing in her kitchen with a kitchen knife and she's chopping vegetables. And girl has skills. She starts swinging. She's swinging. She's like, "No, I'm not going down. No, no, no. I'm going to stab you to death." And she's working on it. She gets him a couple of times and she survives. She survives. And now they have blood of the killer. And oh, I forgot to say this. Oh, I can't believe I forgot to say this, because now you're not going to believe me. But I swear to God, this is true. Back when we were at the Fantasy Inc. place, the crazy office space, I said to myself, this is setting up Alyssa Milano is going to go, she's going to become a decoy, and she's going to be the one doing the dominatrix thing as Desiree to get the killer. Sure as fuck it happened. I told you it would. So I didn't though, and so now I've ruined it. But I did. I wrote it down in my notes. I wrote it here that she was gonna be doing this because they had to have an excuse to put Alyssa Milano in a dominatrix costume. And it's so bad. So here we go. She's going through costumes and she's in Desiree's red room and she's gonna well, she's picked out her costume. We're gonna get to see Alyssa Milano. And then she's making out with Hot Cop. Oh. Then she goes to the captain and she tells the police captain, I want to be the bait. Wait, wait, my punchline came too fast. Wait. I want to be the bait, Captain. And the captain agrees. And Ed's like, no way, man. She'll be in danger. We can't have that. And the captain was like, you've got balls and you've got a screwy mind or something. She said something like, you've got a twisty mind and I like you. And yeah, because that's how that happens. So she gets dressed up like a dominatrix. And don't get me wrong, Alyssa Milano's a beautiful woman, but she's had a few kids and she's gained a few pounds like we all have. I'm myself included. And I would not want to be on the big screen in a dominatrix outfit. And there's the scene where she's on the bed and she goes to I can't even. She goes to roll over and she has like a hard time, like any of us would at this age. She's so stuffed into this thing. They've got her. It's not Spanx. It's got to be like a corset with metal clips. I mean, they've got her into this thing so tight that she can barely move. And she's trying to roll over, and it's not graceful in any way, and I just started laughing, and, like, she's got mommy boobs, like, they got bigger and, like, they're huge. That happens. We have kids. It happens, and, like, she just it's the mom-dom effect, and so, of course, the boyfriend is there, and he's waiting for the killer to show up, like, that's gonna happen, and we have all these gratuitous, obligatory scenes of Alyssa Milano in this getup, and I mean, she is packed in there. They have got her strapped. They've got her what do they say? Snatched? They've it is it's funny. It's funny. I laughed this whole thing, and then they had this weird scene of her after she was dressed. Now she's undressed and she in a bra because you have to see Alyssa Milano in a bra. And then they go right back to her being dressed again. So there was like no reason for her to be in that. All right, then there's this storyline. I don't know, it doesn't go anywhere. This kid, again, the senator's son sitting at dinner, she says, you need therapy. That's clear. He does. We're back with the mom dom, Melissa, in her I don't know what you call this, but she's waiting for the killer, and the captain shows up, and the captain says, "Don't worry, we know who did it. It's that Baxter kid, the senator's kid. So you're safe. Take off the outfit." And she even tells her that. She goes, "Take off your outfit. We're gonna go get him, and everything's fine." And they leave her totally alone. So at this point that the killer's gonna come after everybody leaves. And then so the captain says, "Go ahead and get undressed and or put something else on. Everything's fine." Cops show up at Baxter's house, and of course he's not there. And they go in guns blazing, by the way, for a teenager who is like 98 pounds soaking wet, but whatever. And they find this on his computer screen, and now they know that he's going for her. She does not get dressed. Of course not, because they want this last scene of her to be in this getup, this ridiculous getup that she is squeezed into like a can of those, like a, when you go to break the can of the biscuits? I have a feeling that if she falls over in this, she's gonna bust out of there just like the biscuits when the Pillsbury. Oh, that's so mean. I'm trying not to be mean. Alyssa, I'm right there with you. If they put me in that, I would have the same problem. But the question is, why? Why must we see this? Why is she stuffed into that? It's so exploitive. You want to talk about exploitation? Stop letting Netflix exploit you, Alyssa. Because this is absurd. And there's lots and lots of camera angles of her incredible set. I don't know how else to put it. And um, yeah, here comes the killer. He shows up, and of course, he unmasks himself, and he comes to attack her. And I guess one of the things about this movie that was kind of fun was if you don't like Alyssa Milano, you get to see her get punched in the face several times and smacked against things because she's not doing well in this fight. And of course, then the cop shows up and he kills the guy, and she's having she's more, there are more up close camera shots of her cleavage because that's important. Oh, Lord. And then it ends, and they're on the couch enjoying their newfound romance, and he's gotten her off coffee. No more caffeine for her. It's all about the tea. I forgot about that dumb joke. There was a bunch of dumb jokes about tea. I will say I was wrong about the Republican bashing. It never actually happened. The senator turned out to be a vegan. I mean, who knew? I mean, I didn't really understand that. But no one made any mention of any political parties, and so I was pleasantly surprised that there wasn't any Republican bashing in an Alyssa Milano movie. We only had to sit through the one speech of hers about the patriarchy and the misogyny and and the exploitation of women as she stuffs herself into a leather sex outfit for the camera for most of the end of this movie. Like, come on, Alyssa. Come on. You know what you're doing, and it's all about exploitation. But anyway, you don't have to watch this movie, and I do not recommend it because I think my rendition of it told you everything you needed to know. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and stay tuned because on Friday we are having a live chat happy hour at 5 p.m. on my channel, Eastern Standard Time, where we are doing a totally fashion focused roast of And Just Like That. And I have special collaborations with Real Housewives recaps. Jen, she's amazing. And also, Miranda Hobbs's wig is going to be with us. Don't miss it. So I will see you then. Take care.